Welcome to New Mexico Black Rifle Operators Union. I'm your host, Sean, and I've been thinking about a lot of stuff this week. Specifically, you can't trust those you thought you did, specifically the government. You can't trust, it's kind of a lot of self-ownership that needs to be taken care of nowadays, and people aren't doing so. To that end, you need to start thinking about people are willing to perpetrate violence on you at any given time. So what are you going to do to defend yourself? Now, I'm an AK guy. I have been forever. But I have to admit that America's rifle is the AR-15. And that the reason why the media and the government don't want you to have it is because it puts you on an equal footing as them. Now, these aren't weapons of war. They never have been. They don't have the parts to make them weapons of war. But the media will tell you they're weapons of war. And you don't need an AR-15. And after 3 years of the bull crap we've had to endure, I think you should know by now, or you think you would have the idea or the sense that you probably, if they tell you don't need it, you're probably going to need it. Now, do I see you going down in a blaze of glory fighting the government with this? No, absolutely not. But it rains, and it snows, and there's such a thing as a fire, and there's such a thing as a home invasion, and there's such a thing as just because you want it, But as we've gotten into this scenario nowadays where they're trying to ban these, you need to look at what you need, why you need one, or do you have one? And here's why you should have one. It is the best tool by far for the job if you have to defend your home. One, it's accurate. Even these AR-15s that you're seeing here, they're from Palmetto State Armory, and I picked them on purpose because I like their stance on the 2A. I like their stance on their warranty, and I love their stance on their prices. Now, why? The gentleman that owns this company came back from deployment, and he got to see the nicer parts of the world, and decided that how the world goes to hell in a handbasket and other places is usually because people can't defend themselves and can't take care of what they need to do. So there is no law enforcement in other places like there is in the United States. To that end, he was like to maximize freedom as much as you can was one of his core business tenets. It's one of my core business tenets in my other business, is to maximize freedom and kind of find the loopholes and fits to where I can get in, do what I need to do, and maximize freedom to its greatest extent. So, the AR-15 is accurate. You take a pistol, any shotgun. You take the smallest frame statured person that you can find, take them to the range, hand them, after you give them a lesson, make sure they're new shooters, but this will prove the point. Make them shoot each gun, or show them how to shoot each gun. Then compare how well they do at hitting the target. Recognize that as stress levels go up, accuracy and muscle memory goes down. This is just a fact of physiology. The AR-15 will 9 times out of 10 be more accurate than someone is with a pistol. More points of contact on the person allows them to drive the gun better and to hit their target. Number 2, capabilities. Now, when I say capabilities, you can buy the lower receiver of an AR-15, and you can just change the upper to do whatever you want. Meaning that if you want to change calibers, you can change calibers. Why? What is that a deal? Why is that such a big deal? It means that one rifle, as far as the ATF is concerned, can now be used not only as a hunting rifle or a defensive rifle, It can be used for multiple things. If you're into the shooting sports, IDPA, 3-gun, that type of thing. Not so much IDPA because that's pistol usually. But competition. The AR-15 matches up and is used time and time again, and people win with it because it is that accurate. Capacity. Well, as you've seen in recent events in history, recent events this last week, the AR-15 was used to stop a threat, ultimately. But you look at home invasions, which is a thing in New Mexico. It's usually 2 or 3 people. If you're already stressed out and you're already amped up and excited about what the hell is going on, and now you're in a defensive fight, you need a tool that's just going to work, that is going to give you the level of confidence and security to deal with the threat. With multiple people, having 30 rounds in a magazine, a standard capacity magazine, puts the power curves firmly in your favor, where if you didn't have such a tool, you would be behind their power curve. Affordability. As I was saying, there is an AR-15 for every budget right now. Now, the cheaper ones you'll probably have to tune and fix and get to where it's consistently cycling and doing what you need to do. But at the same time, a lot of those are good to go out of the box, and if you only shoot it once or twice a year, that's all you need. But every person can afford an AR-15. Now, some people will say that's a problem, but I'm telling you the reason why the AR-15 is so affordable is because it is America's rifle and it is the most capable tool for the job. Modularity. I picked these series of AR-15s to show you for that reason. If you notice on the front, they all have M-LOK slots that allows you to attach a flashlight. That's the number one thing you need to be able to identify a target at night and deal with it. Now, you're never going to be Rambo. Let's just be honest. Let's deal with reality. But you will be able to see the targets or see the people before you have to engage them. And it also puts a light from a gun source or from a source like this, tends to make them see only the light and not the person. Now they know that that light is a target. However, it also puts you at a very tight tactical advantage to where you can identify them before they identify you. And in that split second, you have that decisive win that you can actually overcome the odds. When I say modularity, the fact that you can customize the stock or the pistol grip or the fore-end or use different magazines or different sighting systems and optics, all these platforms, the AR-15s, excel at this. The AK has to be modified heavily to allow this to happen. You need different handguards for one, and the stock setups for the AK are purposely built the way they are for conscripts. They're not made to swap them out all the time. Now, why would you want to change the furniture on your rifle? To make it fit you. And when I say fit you, I mean physically fit you. We all come in different shapes and sizes. We all come in different configurations. The AR-15 allows you to adapt to that. It is the perfect rifle for that. You don't like the grip because it's too big? Change it. You don't like the grip because it's too small? Change it. You don't like the position that you end up with when you extend the stock? Change it. It's easy to change, and those changes are usually very affordable if you need to do them. Serviceability. The AR-15, being America's most popular rifle right now, allows parts from any manufacturer to basically be exchanged with parts from your gun. That gives you a serviceability that you will not need in an AK usually, but if you do need it, you will not be able to do it without a press for an AK, because if you have to change a barrel, you're going to have a press to do it. For an AR-15, this is a bench vise and a wrench set problem. Okay? For servicing the bolt carrier group. If you know what the bolt carrier group, it's the heart and soul of your AR-15. It is what actually runs the gun. And if you need replacement parts for any of that, all of them can be found at a price point you can afford. To that end, if you buy an AK, unless it's from like Palmetto State Armory, you're going to get limited support. Why? Because there's not a huge group of people in the United States that are manufacturing them here. Because the AK has always been seen as the bad guy gun. To that end, AKs are usually more expensive now. Because to get a quality AK is an economy of scale. You need machinery that's already set, tools that are already set, and then you just churn them out to make up in volume what you would normally do in quality. Now, the AR-15 can be made in anywhere. You can make an AR-15 in 15 minutes or assemble one if you need to from parts if you have all the parts and you have all the knowledge. And the knowledge can be found from those peer groups I've been telling you to find in the shooting community, but you can also find it alone on the internet. I would encourage you to find those peer groups because they will give you those other pieces of knowledge you need. Now, the other thing you need to think about is this is your damn right. You don't need a reason to justify this at all. But these are some things to consider and some things to start looking at if you are brand new to the shooting sports and you're looking at your first black rifle. Now, the AR-15 has shortcomings, just like any other platform. Those are easily overcome. There's a reason why the derivative of this, the M16, which, yes, it was a derivative of the AR-15. The AR-15, I believe, existed before the M16. The reason why it's there for 70 years, or damn near 70 years, is because it works. You look at the modern military industrial complex around the world, and you see derivatives of the AR-15 or the M16 in almost every continent. The Russians even make these things because they see it as a novel idea because they're married to the AK because it's their only rifle that they really enjoy a lot of. But the AR-15 in their community is considered like our AK community is here. It's a novelty. It's something cool, but it's not the thing that they know, not the thing that they use. The reverse can be said in the United States. The AR-15 is the go-to rifle for most Americans. You know, there are 400 million guns in the United States. A good chunk of those are AR-15s. The odds that they're going to try to ban them are high. Why? Because they don't want you to have them. Therefore, I think you should have them. Because what I've learned in the last 3 years, again, is don't trust anyone. Even your best friends will betray you at some point. No one is 100% altruistic, let alone the government. And if the government is telling you that this is bad guy, is probably a reason why you need to have one. Now, when you look at what's going on in the world right now, you look at the David Hogues of the world, where he's sitting here and he's saying it's the gun, stupid. He's not addressing the mental health institutional problem that we're having or the cultural problem we're having. And those are even being seen by Iraq veteran 8888 in Chad. Eric and Chad talked about it yesterday. They talked about the elephant in the room. And people are tired of talking about the same thing over and over. The left goes and says this keeps happening. The right says, well, it keeps happening in one set place. Can we at least talk about that? And no one does. So how many times do we have to see people advocating for violence right now? There's a group of people right now that are advocating for a free fire zone. If you don't know what a free fire zone is, that means that everyone that moves is a target. And they see themselves as oppressed. They see themselves as being genocided, when that's neither the case factually or in any way reality. So what do you have to do? Be ready. If you're going to exist in today's society, I say it all the time, stay strapped or get clapped. Here's why I say this. We're in this place right now where you purposely trying to just lead a peaceful life, and leave everybody alone. Just your existence is enough to piss someone off. And that makes you a target. And part of self-ownership is being able to say, hey, I got to defend myself, because while the Nashville PD showed up and did an excellent job at dealing with the threat, it still took them 14 or 15 minutes to get to the area. Now, think about that. 14 or 15 minutes. What happens? We've seen it in real time on Monday. The fact is, it's coming out now that this person had went to or had multiple targets in mind, one of which was a school that had a security staff. And they chose not to go there, but to go to a place that didn't have a security staff. Now, why? Because they would have met resistance and they would have ended the threat sooner rather than later. And this is the society we live in now. Anytime you go to a gun-free zone, you're a can of tuna waiting to be opened. Unless you're willing to just do you. And I say that not advocating for you to break the law, but understanding that your right to existence is a thing. And no one, whether it's the government, whether it's law enforcement, whether it's the church, whether it's society, no one has a right to tell you whether you can or cannot exist. We all have the equal outcome and the equal use of force. Force is not a monopoly. Violence is not a monopoly only to those that choose it. Most of the people I have ever met in the so-called tactical community or in the shooting sports community are some of the nicest people you'll ever meet. But they're also some of the most capable and dangerous people you're ever going to meet. Why? Because they trained. They learned how to use the tool. That doesn't mean that they're, like Sonny says, like they're some sort of psychopath looking to use these skills. No, it's that they have options. And life is about options. Don't ever let anybody tell you that you have to conform or be boxed into a situation and then take that as the gospel. You have a right to exist. You have a right to your feelings. How you affect your surroundings, though, everyone else has a say in. And I'm telling you right now that your surroundings, your environment, the world you live in, is no longer safe and hasn't been safe for a long time. And while you may never be touched by violence, depending upon where you live, the chances are going up that violence will come knocking on your door. And then you have two options. You can either let it happen and hope that they're kind to you, or you have the option to defend yourself and the option to take care of the threat. So, while everybody's bandstanding, don't ban guns, I'm telling you to outright ignore them. It doesn't matter anymore. Law enforcement wasn't there when COVID hit. They tucked tail and ran away from the evil dudes that perpetrated these acts, the government actors, that is, on the American populace. So to me, they have a lot of trust to get back to where they were pre-COVID, and I don't know that they can. To that end, it is up to you to keep yourself alive. And I'm recommending the best tool for those scenarios. If it ever comes and that dark day ever happens, I hope you have access to the means to defend yourself. Like, share, subscribe, be great.